is it a good strategy of India to ignore Pakistan and not directly wage a war against Pakistan, but to focus more on China?
Pakistan is not a country, sorry to say, but it's not a country that should be taken seriously. We have been able to hit the terrorist leadership in a very, very bad way. And that is evident from the fact that for the first time in the history of Pakistan, army officers and army jawans have attended the funeral of terrorists who have been killed there. Every country has an army, but in Pakistan, the army has a country. So that is where it is wonderful. Operation Sindoor has proved that we know exactly where the person is sleeping, where the person is sitting, where the person is going. The fact that the Pakistani air base is there, Noor Khan Air Base, which is the main, and the nuclear command was out of action for months together, shows that the damage was tremendous.
Indian aircrafts could easily go into their territory and drop the bombs, and they could not do anything. Even it was heard that in the background, China and US were supporting them. Even their equipments could not help them much.
Pakistan has used terrorism, he didn't call it that terrorism, he said has used militancy as a state policy for short-term objectives.
Hello, I'm Ashish Agarwal and welcome to my podcast Candid and Outspoken. We are going to talk about Pakistan today. We have seen the might of India, Indian Army and the Indian government in 2025 in the form of Operation Sindoor. Right? That was not only an answer to Pakistan, but that was also indirectly an answer to the countries supporting Pakistan like US and China. Right? But the threat is not over. Right? A think tank agency of United States, which is CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, says that the danger of having a similar war between India and Pakistan is still lingers on. Right? We may have similar situations in 2026 where there can be a war between India and Pakistan. Not only this, Pakistan has also waged a war against Afghanistan. It's fighting Afghanistan, which it nurtured at one point of time. It's now waging war against Afghanistan, which is Taliban, right, along the Durand line. So in this episode, we are going to talk to a very senior army officer, right, an Indian Army veteran, Colonel Nilesh, to talk about the role of Pakistan in the US-Israel-Iran war and what are the threats from Pakistan to India in 2026 and what are the repercussions and the impacts of friendship between China, US and Pakistan on India and the global impacts of the same. So please welcome Colonel Nilesh. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. So to start with, we have seen Pakistan and Afghanistan are waging war against each other. Pakistan claims that there are surge in terror attacks across border. There have been ground clashes and there have been cross-border strikes. So what is the basic reason why they are at war with each other?
You see, that's a good question because the Taliban was created by Pakistan, or to be more specific, the Pakistan Army, in the good old days in the 70s to fight the Soviets as part of America's proxy war in Afghanistan. Now you see, thereafter, thereafter Pakistan has been a bit domineering on the Taliban, not realizing that the Afghans are independent people. Now, since the people of the Taliban or the Afghans had no other choice, they had to toe the line because they required support to fight the US-led NATO, the coalition forces. And so probably that is why Pakistan took them for granted. However, there has always been a difference, or I would say difference of opinion, or rather, a hidden animosity between Pakistan, which is dominated by the Punjabis, and the Afghan Taliban, which is dominated by the Pashtuns. So now this has come to the fore now because Pakistan claims that the Kabul is helping or providing sanctuaries to the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan terrorist group, which is an anti-Pakistan terrorist organization. Now this fight has been continuing, and though Afghanistan or Kabul has denied providing any such help and maintaining that this terrorist group is basically existing or finding sanctuary within the border areas of the erstwhile Fatah region or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province as we say now. So this sort of a seesaw has been going on.
Okay.
So that is the basic issue of why the thing has come. It has come to the fore because the TTP has been causing tremendous, or I would say significant damage to the Pakistani security forces, and has been able to somehow establish a sort of a cozy writ in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. That is why this fight is going on.
Okay. So, sir, we know that Pakistan played a very important role in the birth of Taliban, right? In the mid-90s when it was formed, Pakistan provided the financial support, the logistical support, the other kind of acceptances, and it has been instrumental in nurturing Taliban. Now, today, they both are against each other. They are fighting a war against each other. Now, can we say, looking at all these things, that the Taliban that Pakistan nurtured at one point of time, now they are waging war against the same Taliban? Is it that they are tasting their own medicine, or they're bearing the burden of their own actions?
You see, here even at the cost of sounding philosophical, I would like to say that, they are. Pakistan is facing the consequences of its own doing.
Okay.
You see, Pakistan has been training, everybody knows Pakistan has been training the Taliban. And not only that, even when Pakistan was a part of the US-led global war against terror,
Okay.
it was at the same time giving the refuge and sanctuary to Taliban leaders.
Okay.
So much so that there is an officially the most powerful conglomerate of the terrorist leaders or Taliban leaders was called the Peshawar, the Peshawar gang, or the Peshawar group. They were based in Peshawar. So what happened is that they are getting a taste of their own medicine, because what they did, what they wanted to do against the Soviets in Afghanistan actually hit back because of their own reasons or their own follies in firstly overestimating their influence over the Afghan Taliban, and secondly riding roughshod over them.
Okay.
So that is the reason why they are there. So they are facing their own medicine. Now, just a little bit of a background. See, the very interesting, the TTP came into existence in
TTP's Tehreek-e-Taliban.
The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan terrorist group. You see, this group came into existence in 2007.
Okay.
And why it came into existence, or the trigger which made this group, form itself, or the creation for the creation of this group was basically because of the Lal Masjid military action, or the siege of the Lal Masjid, which was undertaken by the Pakistan Army in 2007.
Okay.
In 2007, they laid a siege and they attacked the Lal Masjid and the madrasas it had, killing a lot of talibs, or the students, who were not only males but even females.
Okay.
And as a result, the people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, who comprised the majority of the TTP later on, they took it very badly, and they formed this group against Pakistan, and aligned their ideology with that of the Taliban. That means what the Taliban wanted to the Sharia they wanted to impose in Afghanistan, the TTP wants the same Sharia to be imposed in Pakistan. So here is where you get that medicine part. What you said, that Pakistan was very happy as long as Sharia was being imposed in Afghanistan, but now it is having a lot of reservations when the TTP is asking for the same Sharia, which the Pakistan army approved or Pakistan sort of approved in Afghanistan in its own on its own soil.
Okay.
So that is where the thing they are facing what they have, the seeds of the fruits of what they have sown.
What they've sown. So we have seen recently that India is placing a different game with Pakistan now. From rivalry to what we have shifted to strategic indifference. It seems that India is more focusing on China now, and it seems to be ignoring Pakistan. And on the other side, Pakistan is at war with Afghanistan, its neighbor on the Durand line. Is it a good strategy, sir? So as a strategic army person, how do you understand about this? Is it a good strategy of India to ignore Pakistan and not directly wage a war against Pakistan, but to focus more on China? So how will it help India?
You see, at present, Pakistan is in war with Afghanistan, and India has rightly shown strategic indifference, because you see, Pakistan is not a country. Sorry to say, but it's not a country that should be taken seriously, because there are so many power centers which are being controlled by a singular entity, which is the Pakistan army.
Yes.
So what happens is that the question which comes in here is that how can you take a country which is being ruled by the army seriously when the army itself is looking for trouble?
Yes.
Like, it is, as a military man, for me it is very surprising. I was actually shocked when I heard Pakistan's defense minister declaring that we have now it's open war with Afghanistan, because no military man in his correct senses would have ever approved of declaring a war against a neighbor at a time when the army itself is overstretched, fighting terrorists in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan terrorists and its other allies, and the Baloch rebels or the Baloch freedom fighters in Balochistan.
Right.
So here what one sees is that Pakistan cannot be taken seriously, and what India is doing, to my mind, is good, because it is there is no point in talking to someone who doesn't understand. But at the same time, to say that this is being done at the cost of our engagement or our preparations against possible, military action by China would be wrong, because you see, China, we have been taking it very seriously all throughout. We have been taking, and we have shown our intent of safeguarding our territorial integrity, which China has also accepted. So what happens is that we are with China, though it can't be trusted, but at the same time, when you compare China and Pakistan, you see, it is like it's a case of apples and oranges.
Yes.
So to that extent, it may seem that we may be someone may feel that we are going soft on China. But the fact being that China, to a certain extent, does show some sense, a feeling or a sense of rationality, whereas Pakistan is the other way around. So that's the issue.
Okay, so it's good for India if Pakistan is engaged with Afghanistan for a war and it is largely destroyed in its finances and its stability. So it helps India in the other way.
Yes, in a way it does. Because see, the choice, again, it's a war which has not been thrust on Pakistan. This war is of Pakistan's choosing.
Yes.
And that too of the Field Marshal Asim Munir.
Yes.
Who is now the Chief of Defence Forces. He is not only the Army Chief, he is the Chief of the
Defense
Army,
Force.
Navy and Air Force. And by his by the 27th constitutional amendment, through that he has now got immunity for lifetime immunity from legal prosecution,
Oh.
which makes him a total king, unanswerable to anyone. So, since it's his choice, all the best to him. We wish him all the best.
Okay, that's good, sir. And it's more good to hear that you don't consider Pakistan even a country in the way it thinks about.
No, that is true. Like there is a famous saying that you see, every country, every country has an army,
Yes,
but in Pakistan, the army has a country.
as a country.
So that is where the things are.
Wonderful. So, sir, let's talk about Operation Sindoor. We have seen a battle against Pakistan in form of Operation Sindoor in 2025 last year. So, what do you think are the major achievements of Operation Sindoor?
You see, Operation Sindoor, I would say, is an operation which many of us have not, understood in its entirety. This, we are, instead of seeing the macro level or the what we achieved, we are arguing about small things. Like, for example, we are arguing how many Rafales fell down or were shot down, what happened. The question being that this is no question, this is no argument. You see, when you come to an operation, as an army man, how I see it, and how anybody, even you would see it, is that a military operation has a specific aim.
Yes.
And to achieve that aim, we are prepared to give any sort of, bear any sort of losses.
Yes.
The other day, the Americans, to save one pilot or to rescue a pilot, the Americans have lost 5 aircrafts. And that too, aircrafts costing billions of dollars.
Yes.
But nobody is asking President Trump, who was feeling very sad about Indian jets and Pakistani jets falling during Operation Sindoor, that what are you doing?
Why your 5 jets?
Why you are fighting? So the point being that these assets, they are meant to achieve the military aim, and the cost does not matter. If you take your mind back, if you take your mind back to Operation Vijay in 1999, India lost 2 aircrafts and 1 helicopter. Pakistan didn't lose anything because they did not field the Air Force. But yet, none of us have says that though we got our territory back and we chased the Pakistanis out of Indian territory, but since we lost the aircraft, we are at we have lost the war. So my first thing would be that we must understand when these assets, whether it be a soldier, whether it be a equipment or an armament, it is meant to achieve the national aim. And should we lose any of these, it is though sad, but then unavoidable, and there is nothing to feel bad about. So that is what my take is. Now, as far as the what our achievements are, firstly is that we have made our intent clear to the entire world that we will not accept or we will not condone terrorism. And to that extent, unlike Uri, where we took our strikes, after Uri we took our strikes, aerial strikes, in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, on the grounds that we said that this is our own territory, Indian territory, illegally taken over or in possession of Pakistan. But in off Sindoor, we have hit 9 targets, and out of these, besides some being in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the others have been in proper Pakistan. Proper Pakistan. So that means we have made it very clear to the world that we shall not, that the international boundaries, borders or treaties will not deter us from taking punitive action against terrorist activities by attacking their infrastructure.
Yes.
Now, having said this, the second biggest achievement is that we have been able to hit the terrorist leadership in a very, very bad way.
Yes.
And that is evident from the fact that for the first time in the history of Pakistan, army officers and army jawans have attended the funeral of terrorists who have been killed.
Yes. Yes. We saw that.
And probably this may be the first time in the history of the world
Yeah.
that the security forces of a country are, offering funeral prayers for a
It
terrorist.
gave a very bad message to Pakistan.
Yes. And then what happens is, so this is the second message which we have given, that we have the intelligence. You see, it is something like what one sees in Dhurandhar. It looks very, incredible
Yes.
that you go here, you go there, you know this, but then Operation Sindoor has proved that we know exactly where the person is sleeping, where the person is sitting, where the person is going.
Absolutely correct.
And besides, the next or the third very achievement is that despite such massive destruction on the terrorist infrastructure, we have not caused any civilian or collateral damage, which is a very, 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 very important issue, which shows that we have the not only the specific or the
The basic
precise intelligence, but also the delivery means to ensure that we hit only the targets.
Yes.
So that is the achievements. These are the achievements which are, we should be proud of. The fact that the Pakistani's air bases, their Noor Khan Air Base, which is the main, and the nuclear command was out of action for months together, shows that the damage was tremendous. So, while Field Marshal Asif Munir may have got a post, this way may have, but then that, like I keep writing or I keep saying to people, that this is a case, this reminds me of a very interesting case, which if I may digress for a moment, but it is very pertinent to mention.
Yes, please.
There is a anti-war book called Catch 22, and that written by Joseph Heller, based on it's a fictional account based on Second World War, in which there is an incident narrated in which the protagonist of this novel, who's a pilot, fails to drop his bombs over the target the first time because he's scared. So he bypasses the target, turns around, then comes the second time and drops the bombs, destroys the target, but his plane is hit and his co-pilot or the crew members of that are killed, though he survives. Now he is brought up for a inquiry and a court-martial because the commanding officer is very annoyed. He's a very career-conscious man who says, this will ruin my career. Because how do I explain that? Why did you have to go the target the second time? You should have done what was required to be done the first time. So he does not know what to do. So this protagonist in the novel, he tells him, why don't you give me a medal? So the commanding officer is surprised. He says, how come? You have done such a thing, you should be court-martialed and you're asking for a medal. So then the second in command sitting there, he says, sir, this is a very good idea. He says that we must act boastful for something we ought to be ashamed of.
Yes.
Because this is something which never fails. And what I read this book good about 20, 30 years ago. What I found a joke or a piece of fertile imagination has been proved after Operation Sindoor with Sayyid Asif Munir being promoted for having not been able to detect and having his entire air bases and terror infrastructure destroyed.
Indian aircrafts could easily go into their territory and drop the bombs, and they could not do anything. Even it was heard that in the background, China and US were supporting them. Even their equipments could not help them much. So India really had drastic achievements in Operation Sindoor.
Yes, we did. We did. See, it was. That's what I'm saying. That what we wanted to hit the terrorist targets. It was never about capturing Pakistan, capturing POK, or doing something, wiping out the Air Force or wiping out the Navy. It was about hitting targets and sending the message across. And in my mind, and I am sure very few, if any, can contradict the fact that we did achieve this aim %.
So we have seen a lot of times, it's not a new thing in India, that Pakistan has been involved in all the terror attacks that India have faced so far. India, most of the times, have also sent the teams and the dossiers to Pakistan, which many a times it has denied accepting that it has been involved. Right? We know what's the truth behind that. Rather, Pakistan has been saying that the increase in the terror attacks that it itself is facing in its country, India is behind that. So how is it going to resolve? Because both the countries are blaming each other, and Pakistan is not going to accept that they are behind this terror attacks.
You see, Pakistan not accepting is something which is, I would say, laughable. Because Pakistan has always accepted. If you see historically, I still remember it was Asif Ali Zardari when as the president, first time when he became president, he had said while addressing the civilian government staff, he had said that the Pakistan has used terrorism. He didn't call it that terrorism. He said has used militancy as a state policy for short-term objectives.
Okay,
that is one. Then we had this. Then after Zardari, then come down to Pervez Musharraf. Now Pervez Musharraf has been both the president and the army chief, so he is not a person who is a relatively unimportant one. He has held the highest appointments in the army and that in the country. Now he himself has said, I remember I think it was 2010, he had in an interview he had accepted that this was a German magazine, Der Spiegel. He had mentioned, he had accepted when the person interviewing asked that did you create what they called underground groups to fight in Kashmir? He said yes, they were created, and he also gave the reason. He said that they were created and the government never interfered because they wanted to talk to India on Kashmir. Thereafter, we have got the people. Pervez Musharraf has said it a number of times. And again in 2015 or 14 or 15, he had said, again during an interview, he said that when the people from Kashmir came to us, they were given a hero's reception. I remember the words, yes. Hero's reception, because they were the people who would fight the Indian army. Now here you note, he says that they were treated as heroes because they would fight the Indian army. He never mentions that they would fight for Azadi of Kashmir as Pakistan says.
Yes.
So they have been, that is very much there. Before that, in 2010 or 11, the Sayyid Salahuddin, who is actually a Kashmiri, now he has moved long back into Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and he is the founder of the Hizbul Mujahideen, and he is also the head of the organization known as the United Jihad Council. Now this is a group, this is a amalgam of terrorist groups fighting in J&K, created by Pakistan's spy agency Inter-Services Intelligence or ISI to coordinate activities. So that is the level to which it is, and you look up the Google ISI, you see, you ask for UJC, you search, you will find it is there, it is acknowledged.
Okay.
And he has himself said in a radio interview with the Arab News, he has himself said, I think in 2011, that we are fighting Pakistan's war in Kashmir. He has said that. Now, once you have the people who are saying this. And more recently, you had everybody saying, the defense minister, foreign minister of Pakistan saying that we have been following, that today there is no terrorism, but we have been following a policy. Now, this is not a tap which you can switch on and off.
Yes.
And the former Prime Minister Imran Khan has himself admitted when he visited the US, that even today Pakistan has got 30 to 35,000 armed men who have fought in Afghanistan and Kashmir.
Okay.
So that means you are admitting there now these 35,000 people armed whose only expertise is fighting.
They're not a part of their army.
How are they? Yes. How are they surviving? Who is giving them food to eat? You see, even if you work in terms of, a very conservative figure of 100 rupees being spent on a militant per day only for his food, which by the way is a very, very conservative amount. Just imagine 35,000 you're spending in a day, how much you'd spend in a year, and it's not 1 year, it is happening since the 80s. Now who's giving them the money?
Yes.
So this is the reason why the Financial Action Task Force, which is a Paris-based organization, which is the watchdog on terror financing, placed Pakistan on the grey list from 2018 to 2022. This is proof. So Pakistan we don't have to have any proof. You see, we don't have to give dossiers. It's the Pakistanis themselves, from the horse's mouth, then they are saying that yes, we do have militants and we will do this.
Right.
So we have to do it. On the other hand, Pakistan says we have been doing a lot. We have been arming sponsoring the TTP. And I still remember that when the US forces were about to withdraw and the Taliban government was being formed, the information minister of Pakistan that time, Mr. Fawad Chaudhry, he had said that we are seeing that with the India's help, declining or finishing, since the Indian, all Indian assets from there had moved back to India. He said that we have seen that the TTP is, drying up. Their sources are drying up and it is shriveling. And today the stage has come where Pakistan has had to wage a war against Afghanistan to sort out TPP. So they do not have. They may blame. They keep saying they have given. I remember there are at least 4 occasions when they have announced publicly that we have handed over the dossiers with irrefutable proof to the UN and to America, but none has come back to. No one has ever questioned India on on supporting terrorism. So to that extent, it's a matter of trying to, you see, like a schoolboy. When somebody finds fault with you, you start finding fault with that person.
Divert the attention.
Divert attention. Yes, exactly. That's the word.
Okay, sir. What we can see is clearly what Pakistan claims it's facing what it started doing for others. It's starting feeling the heat of the same. Like if you look at what Pakistan says, that the terror attacks within its own country, they have increased far more than what it was earlier. And as reported, the terror attacks in the previous year were highest in the last 10 years or so. So when it started sending out the terror to other countries, now it's claiming that its own country is facing the terror attacks at such a high amount. We can say that it's now facing the same heat of the same thing that it did to others.
No, exactly. No, you see, that's a fact. You see, it is like what I remember Hillary Clinton, when she was the US Secretary of State, during a press conference in Islamabad, she made it very clear that she said that, you see, that people who keep snakes in their backyard and expect that they will only bite their neighbors, you see, are living in a fool's paradise, because ultimately these snakes are going to hit back, and that is proved to be a fact. See, the point comes in that, like I told you, that who created the TTP? The TTP was created, were terrorists who were initially trained by Pakistan and sponsored by them,
Yes.
given sanctuaries by them, and they just turned rogue. Like Pakistan may be thinking that Kabul has turned rogue, but then they deserve it, because they tried to use the Taliban to, you see, further their own self-interest of gaining, you see, what they believed in as the strategic depth, and to that extent they ended up creating a Frankenstein in which they cannot now handle. So that comes to the first part. Second part is that the Pakistan has been, you see, has been insensitive to the fact, and I don't blame Pakistan, the people of Pakistan, because the army which is doing all the thinking and the planning, that in Balochistan they have turned Balochistan into a, you know, a slaughterhouse. You see, I had done some time back. This may be interesting. You know, you Google search land of the disappeared, and you will find that at least 7 out of the 10 first searches, top searches, will have a mention of Balochistan.
Oh.
Now that is the state where we have reached. They have reached to the problem they have caused. They are blaming India. What the Pakistani, I would say that the only, I would say I am very happy with the Pakistan army for one thing, is that they have done things which has helped them to create a self-sustaining and regenerating source of enemies, their own people. So when they are going to do such things, you have enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and you have you use brute force, then you don't require somebody else to destroy you. You are doing it yourself, and that is what hats off to the field marshal. I think if there is another appointment or post beyond that or above that, I would certainly recommend him for the same.
He would be more worried about hearing you, sir. So, as we say in Hindi, we can this stands more appropriate here to say अपने कर्मों का फल भुगत रहा है पाकिस्तान जो भी उसने किया. So, sir, how do we see America playing its game? Because we have seen in Operation Sindoor, at the end it came just to show that it's mediating the ceasefire. But during the course of the Operation Sindoor and the war between India and Pakistan, we saw that clearly it did not support India. So what do you think? What was the role of US towards India and Pakistan? Which side it was?
You see, America has got a congenital problem that it is nobody's friend. For America, it is their own interests which matter, and to that extent they can go to any length. Right from Cuba till Afghanistan. We have all seen it. What they can do, and how they can leave people in the lurch.
Yes.
Their own people who are doing it. So to that extent, expecting something from America, is a big deal. Not only that, it is also, I think, dangerous, because as the famous Henry Kissinger had said, to be America's enemy could be dangerous, but to be America's friend is fatal. And so to that extent, Islamabad, or rather Rawalpindi, because controlling the show, must be very happy that they are in the good books of America. But history, will tell how it works out. So to my extent, my mind, we should not be unduly perturbed, because Americans, to expect something substantial and enduring from Washington is a pipe dream.
So there is a very well-known American think tank agency which is called CFR, Council on Foreign Relations. It has published a report which says conflicts to watch in 2026, and it has predicted that what happened in 2025 between India and Pakistan, what we saw as Operation Sindoor, there is a likelihood of seeing a similar kind of heightened tensions between the two countries because of high-level terrorism in Kashmir, which may happen, and it may lead to another war just like Operation Sindoor. So, how likely it is?
You see, now this issue requires a little bit of deliberation, because you see, one thing you must realize is that the declaration of war against Afghanistan, like I said before, doesn't make military sense. But it does make sense when it is seen in the light of compulsion of promises or threats issued by Pakistan or Pakistan's Chief of Defence Staff.
Okay.
You see, he has been threatening right from 2023. He's been threatening that in case the Afghan Taliban does not reign in the TTP, the Pakistan will take military action. Now, he has said it so often that a stage has come where the people are demanding, what are you doing? Why are you not acting? You're just speaking.
Yes.
And to make matters worse, he is jingoistic. The problem with him is that, you see, I would say that, an army man, as long as he remains an army man, and within the confines of his profession, it is good. But the moment he tries to step out of it, he invariably ends up as a failure. Okay. Now, in this case, he is unnecessarily whipping up jingoism. In 2024, there are media reports that in 2024, he had told a group of students or an audience in Pakistan that the life of one Pakistani matters more than the life of the entire Afghan people. Now, you see, such type of a thing coming from a person in authority and power and holding a very responsible position can have serious repercussions. And that is what is the thing is, people are asking, you are saying, well, every day Pakistanis, army men, their paramilitary forces, their civilians are being killed by TTP. What are you doing? What are you doing? Where is the life of Afghanistan, of that Afghanis versus, or the Afghan people versus that of Pakistan?
Yes.
And so he has, now that is the compulsion. Now similarly, if you see this whole issue of Sindoor, which was the result of the Pahalgam massacre. Now Pahalgam massacre also followed what? Just 2 or 3 weeks before that, he had given his famous talk about Hindus being, about Muslims being different in every way from Hindus.
Yes, we saw that, yes. Sir.
Saying that, our culture is different, our religion is different, our traditions are different. I would like to ask Munir Sahab, which two religions have similar beliefs, customs, cultures and thoughts? If any two religions have the same, then they would merge and become one.
Yes.
Absolutely. But he singled out Hinduism just to play to the gallery, and created a serious problem for Pakistan, and got paid back through Op Sindoor. So to that extent, what I'm saying is that this sort of a thing, it is not going to lead anywhere. So they may try. But now coming to the threat, this the think tank has rightly said that there is going to be some sort of a friction which will take place.
It's going to be?
Yes, they would be, because now the question is this, that the people of Pakistan will ask, if you have been telling us that Pakistan will act against both the terrorist groups and their facilitators and punish them. You have done that in Afghanistan.
Why not India?
Why not India? And now comes the question, what does Field Marshal Munir do? See, one thing is clear, that if he tries to do any sort of a terrorist action, there are two aspects to it. Since Pakistan is already known to be a harbor of terrorists and a sponsor of a proxy war and terrorism, you see, the international community is not going to take any such, large scale terrorist action seriously. They are not going to allow him to get away with it. Secondly, the cost which such an action may come onto the Pakistani security forces or the terrorist infrastructure is something after Sindoor will make him think twice. So to my mind, the Field Marshal Munir has to do something to pacify the public and the terrorist groups, their terrorist leaders, because they are, if you see the social media, they are openly demanding that they be given permission to act, they be permission of Pakistan take action against India.
Okay.
So to that extent, what the likelihood is that rather than, leave any footprints or leave any, a smoking trail of the Pakistan army or the establishment, involvement in any sort of an violent act in India, it could activate its sleeper cells to carry out a sort of a terrorist action of a different type, of a different kind, in a different league. Make it a little bit of a some fundamentalist group. You have got the, the Islamic State of Khorasan, which is there, which incidentally is being sponsored by Pakistan, which has been, there is evidence, though nobody is taking it seriously, because the West is not taking it seriously because it does not concern them directly, because it's mostly concentrated towards India or the Indian subcontinent. So what happens is that these sleeper cells, they can be activated and give a color that you can, and that because any action which is taken under the garb of the Islamic State or any fundamentalist ideology, that gives the requisite deniability to the Pakistan army and the government. You see the November this car bomb blast of the Al Falah University terror module, which was which comprised mainly doctors. Now, if you analyze that, you see the lady doctor who has been apprehended was in direct contact with the Jaish-e-Mohammed Masood Azhar's sister, and was tasked to create or to form a women's wing of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in India to wage what she said, or what the aim is, global jihad. So to that, if this can happen, if educated people can be lured into or indoctrinated into doing so, there have been at least, to my mind, at least 3 to 4 such terror modules have been busted. I'm just saying a minimum, and which shows that for every terror module busted, we must accept at a fair, or no, at a very even at a very conservative estimate, that at least 2 to 3 more are very much there. Hidden. Because we cannot expect that there are 5 and we've intercepted all 5. Now this is the danger, because funds are available, the expertise is available, and by doing this, they don't have to say. The very fact that something like this happens, they feel very happy about it. They can tell the people, it can be conveyed informally, or even if not conveyed, the message goes to the people. Yes, we have avenged, or we have hit back against India by doing this.
Oh, so that is the their own people by doing this.
So doing this will pacify the people. So we have to be, to my mind, we have to be very, very careful of any such, sort of
terror modules which are
terror modules which may attack non-military and unrelated sort of targets, which you cannot convince them, or you cannot say that this was conclusively say that this was the work of the Pakistan establishment. That is to my mind, that is a bigger threat, and that's where we all come in as.
So have they learned it from the Mumbai attacks that the terrorists who came by boat from the sea routes, they were directly traced back to from where they came. So they're trying to activate the sleeper cells who are residing within the country so that it cannot be traced from wherever they're getting the funding and their resources and their instructions.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. Here, what they're doing is they will do everything. They'll take every sort of precaution to ensure that their footprint is not visible in any of their activities. And that is what is most dangerous, because when your own citizens, misguided or lured or indoctrinated, start doing such activities, then you see, then we are the losers, because you have blasts taking place in crowded area or otherwise. It's the common man who dies.
Yes.
So that is where we have to be more careful and more discerning today. By nature, we have to, as every Indian has to become suspicious of what's happening.
What's happening around us?
Yes.
Okay. This is alarming, sir. So we have to be very careful, because that's officially published in the CFR report, and you're also confirming that this is a likelihood. So, sir, we see a sort of theatrics these days between US and Pakistan. We have seen what kind of backlash US has faced in the Iran-Israel war, though it has not been damaged in terms of its own resources at its own soil. It's doing everything on the land of Iran. But we have seen that now it's secluded, it's not getting the support from the NATO countries and the other countries now, but the war is still going on. So what we have seen these days, that US is pushing Pakistan as a mediator to have a ceasefire between Iran and Israel and to end this war. Now, Pakistan is also taking that initiative and to be visible globally as a mediator and a peacemaker between these countries. So we have seen that Pakistan itself is grappled with the various issues like its deteriorating economy, its own terrorism within its own country. Looking at all these things, Pakistan does not have a very good condition of itself, and in such a state, can it mediate act as a peacemaker between US, Israel and Iran?
That's a very interesting question. You see, the issue of Pakistan playing or trying to broker a ceasefire between US and Iran. Yes, that is, as far as Pakistan is concerned, it's a very big achievement. They are making they are leaving no stone unturned to declare this and declare this as something, as a new emergence of a new Pakistan, which the world shall recognize as a peacemaker. But then there are limitations. You have to understand the whole game plan. You see, what happens is, a person who negotiates is a person, firstly, who has to be neutral or appear to be neutral. Second, that entity has to have the capacity to bring about some, if not, I would say, changes or some turnarounds in the stance, at least get an element of flexibility and make either side or both, in the interest of coming to a solution, you see, shed, alter or modify their demands. Now, unfortunately, Pakistan lacks both these capabilities.
Okay.
It has, by the defense minister, by that famous reproducing the post sent to him by Washington or verbatim,
As a draft.
yes, as a draft, has shown that he is, he is, Pakistan is more of a, you see, as a pawn or a front rather than a serious negotiator. To make matters worse, by cast by anti-Semitic remarks, they have Pakistan, that also that on social media, asking the Jewish community to burn in hell. Now that is totally an uncouth sort of a statement coming from from a political establishment of a country which considers it to be a civilized. So to that extent, if you see that it is not, does not fulfill the both the criterias. So if the ceasefire does come into play, the credit of it will go to the compulsions of President Donald Trump and the Iran regime, rather than the efforts of Pakistan. So to that extent, well, it's good if they're doing it. It's good. It's let them get, they should also get a chance. But like it will soon become obvious to my mind that it is not Islamabad which will be which will be moderating or directing the negotiations, but a quiet listener, an American proxy.
Yes.
Trying to get Tehran to agree to what President Donald Trump wants.
Yes.
So it is I would say people in India are feeling very cut up. Some of them very cut up that India has not been considered for acting as a
Yes.
negotiator, but Pakistan has, and people are making it sound as a failure of our diplomacy. But personally, I feel this is one negotiation which is like a fixed match. So best India has done a good thing by staying far from it, because it's rather it cannot afford. Pakistan has got nothing to lose.
Yes.
Even if it gets embarrassed further, it has already reached a stage where embarrassment no longer matters. But that's not the case with New Delhi. So it's personal opinion, it's a good thing that we have not got into this, like I said, fixed match.
Okay. So we have seen that in the previous years, there were some tensions between the US President Donald Trump and the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, related to the trade deal. India obviously cannot accept everything that the US proposes. So there were some tensions between the two countries. So do you think Pakistan's support to US as a peacemaker and whatever relations they are showing during this war, it is going to tensionize the relations between US and India even more in the coming days?
No, you see, like I said earlier, for America loves itself and nobody else. So when you see that America is now cozying up to Pakistan, basically because it requires a sort of a safe exit, an honorable exit. Trump requires an honorable exit.
Yes.
from the muddle which he has created for himself in Iran, where even his closest allies have rightly left him.
Yes.
Because you can't expect to have to be the big bully in the classroom. Nobody will accept that. And to that extent, America is very happy with Pakistan. He is for him, the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is a terrific guy, and Asim Munir is his favorite field marshal.
Yes.
So to that extent, it is very good.
To US.
It's very good. But the point remains is that when it comes down to business, the Americans will not put their money into anything where they're going to lose it. So Pakistanis can keep enjoying, but keep having those like what Hassan Hussaini's book says, titled "Magnificent Delusions." But that's about all.
Yeah.
As far as India is concerned, you see what happens is that if nothing else, purely for commercial reasons, I would say the US has no love lost for India too, but commercial interests which are which could have an adverse effect on America. You see, those are those factors which America would not like to play up. So to that extent, one would find that while the US president, as is his habit, may talk big about Pakistan and otherwise, and try to show that he doesn't care for India, but the fact is that the Americans will not leave India in the lurch, because they will continue engagement, and in case of hostilities between India and Pakistan, neither will they help India, neither will they help Pakistan. They will do what President Nixon did during the 1971 war, send their 7th Fleet to the Bay of Bengal and keep it there. So that is it.
As you wonderfully mentioned, how he says terrific guy. So there have been a lot of memes related to that, how US president at times react to such people. What we see in this dramatics between the Pakistan and the US is US is trying to seek help from Pakistan to get out of this war situation, where Pakistan has got no global credibility, as you said, and it's trying to have some sympathy of US. So Pakistan also looks up to China for its support. So is it possible for Pakistan to have two friends which are not good friends within each other, like US and China? So can Pakistan maintain the cordial relationship with both these countries?
You see, theoretically, this is not possible. But Pakistan knows. Pakistan knows how it can handle both sides. Now, as far as America is concerned, it is playing up to America. One of the reasons is that it knows that China has invested so heavily in Pakistan that it cannot afford to now withdraw its support or its interests in China. More than $60 billion it spent on the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and that's a big amount. And this sort of and now this is only in that corridor. One is not talking about the mining rights in Balochistan, which China has acquired, and nobody knows at what cost and under what terms and conditions. So for Pakistan, for China, it's a being good, or I would not say being good. Tolerating is the word. Tolerating Pakistan is a compulsion, and which it will do. But the fact that it has stopped further funding of the CPEC shows that it is also not being, going overboard in humoring.
Funding of
yes, it has stopped. Certain projects have been stopped because, you see, it was supposed to be a turnkey project. They're supposed to be giving, you're supposed to be investing and then getting some money and some returning. So here it is just one way. And the conditions in Balochistan are such that it has brought the CPC activities to a halt. Chinese engineers and Chinese workers are being attacked. So this is creating a situation. It's a situation from which China is not very happy about. And China too is a absolutely hardcore businessman. It will not put money where it's not going to get something concrete out of it. So that is important.
So, sir, in continuation to, I'll just stop for you for a second. Like in continuation to what you mentioned about China-Pakistan economic corridor, as you mentioned, it has spent almost $60 billion in this. We know that the project was also halted because of the attacks that the Chinese workers and the Pakistan officers they faced from the Balochistan people. right? So they've been attacking them, and because of this, many projects are stalled, right? So the interest of the China was to have a road directly to Pakistan. We know what the reason was behind this. How do you think now Balochistan reacting against Pakistan and China and their common interest with CPEC, how this is going to benefit India, and how strategically Balochistan is important for India?
You see, firstly, the CPC, Balochistan is fine, but the CPC runs through areas of Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, which is itself makes this project technically illegal.
Okay.
You see, now this is one thing which we have to realize and we have to emphasize on that. Because Pakistan calls Jammu and Kashmir disputed territory. And not only the disputed territory, and a UN recognized disputed territory.
Entire Jammu and Kashmir.
So, and why it says so? Because the UN resolution, I think it's UN resolution number 48, in that there is the preamble reads that this resolution is to consider the dispute of Jammu and Kashmir brought before the UN Security Council. So it has conveniently transformed that the preamble into a conclusion.
Okay.
You see, interestingly. So having done that, let us know. Okay. So it is dispute. They call it disputed territory. Now, you don't have to be. All of us know in normal life the legal aspects or the legal angle to a disputed territory. Because we've all seen, if not with us, with our neighbors or with our friends or relatives, there's a house under dispute, there is a plot under dispute, there is a shop under dispute. Now what happens is that once an asset is under dispute, then what happens is that both or all the claimants, they lose their rights, ownership rights, till the time the issue is not resolved through the court of law. So, being the devil's advocate, I would say, let us assume that J&K is disputed territory. If this be so, how has Pakistan allowed, without having ownership rights, by its own logic, by its own contention, how is it allowed this project to come through?
Yes.
So, as it is, it is on a weak footing on this. Now, secondly, as far as the problem in Balochistan is concerned, you see that this is an issue of which Pakistan has to handle. We may feel that this is going to help us or is going to benefit us, but I don't think such things for a country like China, such disruption is going to cause give it sleepless nights. So here what I feel is that the problem of Balochistan, like I said earlier, the problem of Balochistan will continue because it is being fueled by the inhuman behavior and the barbarity of the Pakistan army. So to that extent, this is going to do, because you cannot. Like I was speaking to one of the Baloch person, not in Balochistan, abroad. He says that he is in touch with his people at home, and he says the general feeling there is that if we have to die anyway, why not die fighting the occupation army of Pakistan? Okay. See, now that is an issue which is very important, because when a person resigns himself to death, like a suicide bomber, you can do nothing to stop him.
Absolutely.
See, once I have decided that I am going to kill myself, I don't mind dying, then I am determined that to die, then I can do anything.
Stop it.
So that is what is fueling this armed violence in Balochistan, and Pakistan is going to see any amount of money. Let's face it. Is in April last year. April last year. Field Marshal Munir had said, and his words were to the effect that we will very soon beat the hell out of these terrorists. Okay. This was a reference to the Baloch problems, and saying that you think 3,000 to 5,000 usually militants can alter the course of history or take away Balochistan, then you're sadly mistaken. Now, since then, if you go by Pakistan army records, claims, I would say, at least 2 to 3,000 Baloch people they already killed, claiming that they are terrorists. So that means, only a handful would have been left. But the way, if you are following Balochistan, the way they are, the Baloch armed groups are operating, it is amazing. They are holding, they are taking over temporary control of villages and towns. They are establishing roadblocks, they are checking vehicles, and they are setting fire to or damaging the vehicles which are carrying raw material and other resources from Balochistan outside.
Okay.
So, seeing all this, it is not going to be, and 1 year is over, and very soon, one would like to ask the Field Marshal, how soon is very soon?
He'll give sleepless nights to Field Marshal. So, sir, finally, one question. Is there any possibility, do we even expect to see cordial relationships ever between India and Pakistan? What do you think so?
You see, much that one would want this to happen. But unfortunately, the answer is no. And I'll tell you why. You see, in India, there is a sizable and a significant number of people or a section of the people who are, asking or who genuinely desire peace. And so is the case in Pakistan. There are especially the educated class, middle class involved. They also want, because if you come to think of it, what have we gained out of animosity for so many years? Nothing. We have lost lives. Development has, funds for development have been scarce, and nothing has been achieved. So what happens is that peace is a win-win situation for both, and for India. But for India, this is also sort of an opportunity to further, further its aim of making the subcontinent more secure. But the problem comes in is that while India and the government of India, or the powers that be in India, would want to have cordial relations with Pakistan. See, Pakistan unfortunately does not because the people don't want it, or the government doesn't want it. It is because the army doesn't want it. And since the army controls the shots, they can do nothing about it. And why the army doesn't want it? The answer is simple. The moment there is peace and tranquility between India and Pakistan, the Pakistan army loses its importance, degree of importance. See, today if you see, the Pakistan army is enjoying, extra constitutional powers. Why? Because they keep saying, because they have projected themselves as the, bulwark or the ultimate defense against what they call a hegemonic Hindu India. Mind the word Hindu. So what they've done is they have added the religion aspect also into it.
Okay. So as to gain public
sentiments. So they have said, they have portrayed India as an existential, threat to the very existence of Pakistan. Okay. And convinced the masses that if the army had not been there, India would have, overrun Pakistan many years ago.
Oh.
So when you have that sort of an issue, Pakistan, you have that sort of issue, you will find that the talk, people say do talk, but who do you talk to? You can't talk to the government of Pakistan because it can do nothing about it.
Yes.
You can talk to the government, to the army, because it can do everything about it, but it does not want to do, because who would like to see that empire which they have made? Who would like to lose, a well-established empire? and especially getting privileges like lifetime immunity from criminal proceedings. Does it happen in a democracy?
Correct.
It doesn't, but in Pakistan it is happening. So to that extent, we have to be very clear that the peace is going to elude us because the Pakistan army is not interested, and since it is not interested, it will do everything it can do. I'll give a small example. When Prime Minister Modi, during his first swearing in, called the SAARC countries, Nawaz Sharif did not give his acceptance for quite some time, and Shehbaz Sharif had to meet the army chief and get permission. It is on record. It's in Pakistani media. Now, that being done, since it reached the media, the army chief had no option but to act benevolent and say, okay, go ahead. But just before the swearing-in ceremony, the Indian embassy in Herat, in Afghanistan, was attacked by terrorists. Luckily, the ITBP, which was in the security, they managed to kill the terrorists before they could enter and cause any damage. Now, that time, the Karzai government, their analysis or their intelligence said that this was the Lashkar-e-Toiba, which was behind this attack.
Okay.
Pakistan refuted it, and I also would say that yes, since Karzai was pro-India, anti-Pakistan, this could be a cover-up or something to malign. But after a month, America, US, CIA confirmed that yes, this was carried out by the Lashkar-e-Toiba to sabotage. You see what the aim was? That you create kill people there. How can Nawaz Sharif, with what face does he come to India for the swearing-in ceremony? So if you link 2 and 2 together, there are numerous such incidents. One could talk for days together, not hours but days together, on how Pakistan has been sabotaging all these efforts. The Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's Lahore bus trip, followed by Cordial.
Yes.
So, no, Pakistan army doesn't want it. So, anybody who talks, anybody who thinks that, we can achieve peace by talking to Pakistan, is being over optimistic.
Right.
That's what my take is.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us deep insights into what's the role of Pakistan and what kind of issues are revolving around Pakistan along with the other countries that we talked about. So I'm sure the audience would get to know a lot much about what's happening globally, which is involving Pakistan and the other countries like India, US and China, which they have not heard in the media. Right? So thank you so much for being on the show, sir. It was a pleasure having you.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and especially so what I liked was that your questions were they were off the mill, they were off the normal course, and which made discussing and talking these all the more interesting, because going by the book or going what is being discussed in the normal course, mundane affairs or the mundane questions, they somehow tend to get tedious. But thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.